Hey you guys, welcome to The Curious Cat, where I share all kinds of wild ideas and thoughts about what's going on in our world. A lot of people are kind of being corralled into the mainstream narrative, in my opinion, and there's very few people kind of speaking up or speaking about different views on what's going on. So I like to keep it real. I like to share my own opinion, which often isn't received well by many, but I think it's important that we all have our voice and we all speak up, because there's many different perceptions about what's going on. And if we all kind of let go and just assume that what we're being told is truth, then we're really leaving ourselves in a vulnerable place. So I like to keep it real. I like to think outside the box and explore other possibilities. So in this video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about how we're being attacked by the powerful elite. It's hard to say who exactly they are. It seems to be always changing who our new overlords are, but it's quite evident that we are the plebs and they are the elites, and they like to keep us disempowered and divided. That way they have as much power over us as possible. And so in this video, I'm going to be going over that a little bit, about some of the tactics they're using and some of the ways that they're really making us fragile and destroying our prosperity and our resilience in our communities. So please stick around to the end, and if you find this information useful or interesting, please share it around. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and like the video. It helps me get this info out there a little more. I'm really excited. I am approaching the 200 subscriber mark. So for those of you that were here since the beginning, thank you so much. It means a lot to me that you guys are here and you've stuck it out and you listen to my wild ideas. And all of you guys that are new to the channel, welcome aboard. And as always, I love your guys' comments. Thank you guys. A lot of you are contributing and commenting. I always really appreciate that and like to hear what you guys are thinking. So with all that being said, let's get into it. I think some of the ways that they're making us weaker and they're kind of preparing us for more of a takeover is they're using different tactics. So they're definitely using the divide and conquer. I'm sure many of you are seeing that. It's becoming highly polarized in our communities and in our world today. There's so many issues that we're being bombarded with, and you need to pick a side on every issue, and then you're picking either this side or that side, and then you're being divided, and then depending on what side you take, you're losing all kinds of friends and support that don't agree with the side you're taking. So I always like to take the middle stance. I like to listen to both sides. I often think the extremes on either side are often wrong. I'm a true advocate in more like self-reliance, relying on ourselves. I don't think we need overlords. I'm a believer in liberty and freedom and really taking care of ourselves. I don't think the governments they don't have our best interests at heart. I think that's pretty evident if you guys have been paying attention. I know they're giving us some of these little handouts, but that's nothing compared to what's going on. The corporate handouts and bailouts and all of the money they're stealing from us, and that is nothing compared to what they're giving us. So I think it's pretty evident to most of you that they don't have our interest at heart, and that there's kind of a bigger plot. There's an ulterior motive here, and what they want to do is they want to have us divided, especially the man and the woman. They want to break up the family unit, because that's where we're strong. When we have strong families and we're strong together and united and dedicated to those relationships, and we're able to raise healthy, strong children, then we grow our resilience, we grow our communities, and we have larger communities where we can share our ideas and stay strong inside those. But when we're divided, that's where we're the weakest. So they're trying to divide the man and the woman. They're trying to divide all the races. They're trying to push this multiculturalism and flood the country with all kinds of cultures, and then get us fighting amongst each other inside the countries instead of uniting. It's hard enough to get people from the same culture to unite on certain ideas, and let alone when you have all kinds of different cultures trying to coexist in these tight little cities where there's very little space. So it makes it harder and harder for us to kind of unite on ideas and to grow our strength in numbers. So That's one of the ways they're doing it. And you can see this, they're specifically attacking the patriarch, the masculine. It's under the guise of toxic masculinity and blaming the patriarch for all of this stuff. And they're really putting down the masculine, and this rise of feminism where they're getting the women to hate men and blame men for everything, and they want men disempowered. That's why they're pushing the soy is in everything. They're trying to destroy your testosterone levels. They want you eating tons of soy and essentially raising your estrogen levels and destroying your masculinity, because the masculine is what protects our community. The masculine is the more dominant of the two. We're the protectors. We're the ones that have always gone to war and fought for our freedoms and to protect our family. And so what they're doing is they want to destroy that. They want to teach you that being masculine is a bad thing, that violence is a bad thing. They want you being a bunch of snowflakes. They're teaching all the men to sit at home and rot away in front of the computer screens, playing video games, not getting any real life skills. They're pushing everyone into debt. They're telling you to go to school and take out a bunch of debt and get these useless degrees. And very few men are hands-on anymore. In the past, men used to be able to fix anything, to be able to do everything that was required on the farm, to grow food, to raise animals, to butcher them, to provide for the family. And now a lot of men have very few of these really practical hands-on skills. And that's detrimental to our resilience. And men that aren't empowered, when they're teaching us that it's toxic to be a man, men are feeling lost. They don't know where they fit in, and they're afraid to act naturally. Naturally, they're going to be a bit more dominant. They are slightly more violent, because there's a pecking order. We've naturally have to be slightly more violent to protect our families, to go out and have that ability to hunt and kill other animals, to be able to provide for our family. And so now they're trying to teach men that you don't need that this, animal rights stuff. And don't get me wrong, I love animals. And if you're an animal rights activist, not to bash you, I'm just saying that they're trying to take away how we've been able to provide for our families in the past. They're trying to teach you that that's bad. They want you all eating vegan, vegetarian burgers full of soy that's destroying your masculinity. And really, when you get your true strength from being masculine and embracing your testosterone, that's what makes you strong as a man. And when they destroy the men, it's that much easier to take over the community and to destroy the family unit, because when the men are weak, there's no one to protect the women and the children, and they're trying to teach women to do it all on their own. And I think in this world that we have right now, where things have been pretty easy, that's been fine. It's been working to some extent. But when things get tough and we actually enter full-on crisis, and your men aren't there to protect you, and you have a bunch of women trying to do it all on their own, I think they're going to realize the pitfalls, and I think they're going to wish they had a man there. And the women that actually decided to team up with men and to get past this divide and conquer tactic that they're using, they're going to be in a much better position, both the woman and the man, because that's where we're empowered. I believe that we need each other, and strong families are what offer us our most resilience. It's hard to do stuff on your own, as I'm sure many of you are figuring out, those that are doing everything by themselves. I'm personally doing most everything by myself at this time. I don't have a family, and I've yet to find a wife. So I realize the pitfalls of that. You're alone. You don't have that team, and you don't have that other person that's supporting you and encouraging you and there to kind of lift you up when times are down. And you're not teaming up and really using each other's differences to your advantage. So that's one way they're dividing us, the masculine and the feminine. They have us fighting, hating on each other, all that. It's pretty sad to see. They have many people believing that in this global warming that it's all man-made, and all of us feeling guilty about it. And so people are feeling like they don't even want to have kids anymore. There's too many people on this planet. This world is so abundant. If you've been to India, you can see how densely populated the world can be, and it still works. These people are still happy. They're still thriving, actually, in many ways, and it's highly dense. They're using all the resources, and it's still able to support them. So to push this narrative in places like Canada, where we're so spread out, that we're destroying it and we shouldn't be having kids, I think is just complete BS. I don't buy it. I think it's a divide and conquer tactic. They want to divide the family unit so that these elite families, they're all having kids. They're all passing this down, creating all this wealth for their families, passing it down through generations. They're all staying married and having resilient families, yet they're pushing this on us, that they want us divided and conquered, and families are toxic, and having kids is a selfish thing, and don't do it. It's all about yourself and all that. So I don't buy into that. I don't think it's truly where we find our power. Some of the other ways they're doing it is by pushing all of this debt onto us. They're telling us to go to school right away. That's the only way you're going to thrive in this world, is to go get a degree or some doctorate certification. And it puts you into so much debt, and a lot of these degrees are useless. It's just the reality. We need people with hands-on skills, people that are willing to work in the trenches, people that are able to fix things, to make things, to innovate, to grow food, all of that, to build shelter. That's where we're resilient. It's not in book smart. We do need some people that are book smart, but we're so overly exposed to that, where we have so many people that are book smart and very few people that have hands-on practical skills. And so when people are doing that, they're incurring all this debt, and then they're finally getting out of school in their early 30s or mid 30s, and now they have 50 to 100K in debt, and now they're realizing there's very few jobs where people actually want to hire them. So they end up working at Starbucks for 15 bucks an hour, trying to pay off these massive amounts of debt. Well, that's not a very good place to be starting from. And then at the same time, you have very few practical hands-on skills. Can you hunt? Can you grow a garden? Can you fix a car? Can you build a house? Like, how are you going to provide for your family? The only way you have to do that at that point is to be able to get a job where you can earn enough money to hire people who can actually do this stuff for you, to provide you with food, to build you a house, to fix your car, all that stuff. You need to be hiring people. So you're really leaving yourself in a very vulnerable place where you're not self-reliant. You're relying on others for everything, and then you're very exposed to kind of what is happening in the economy, and all your eggs are in one basket. You're saying that my skill that I've learned in university is going to make me enough money so that I can hire people to do all of the practical life skills, the actual stuff that I need in my day-to-day. I'm going to have enough money to hire people to do all that, instead of just going with more of a hands-on approach where you learn these skills firsthand. That's what my approach has been. I learn how to fix everything myself. I don't hire people to do stuff. I fix my own cars. I buy used cars with cash. I don't buy stuff on debt. I don't pay for useless university degrees. I get hands-on practical skills. I'm learning to hunt this year. That's how I'm taking it to the next level. I've always been able to fish and get food that way if I need to. Although I haven't had to, I've been fortunate enough, like many of us, that we've been able to rely on this system and just use our money to go and buy our food. But when things get tough and the money's devaluing and we're having interruptions in the food supply, then we need to be more resilient. We need to have kind of alternative ways to get our food, to provide for our families. So this year, I'm going to be starting construction of a home for myself and my future family. Hopefully, I'm fortunate enough to get a family. And so I'm going to be building my own house. I'm going through all of the certifications. You need all kinds of permits and certifications nowadays to be able to do stuff on your own. It's quite ridiculous, but I'm a big believer in doing stuff yourself, so I'm jumping through all the hoops. and ticking all the dots that I need to in order to be able to do that. So I'm going to be learning to hunt this year. Hopefully I'll get a deer. I'm going to be starting construction of my house, and I'm just learning a lot of practical skills: how to use a firearm, how to hunt, how to gather, how to grow a garden. I've grown many gardens, and now how to build shelter. So I'm not relying on others to do that. And I think it's these practical skills that really will provide for me in the future. I can leverage those skills with others that are going to need them. Everyone needs to be able to keep a vehicle running, to have a home, to provide for their family in the sense of getting food and shelter and water and all that. So by understanding these systems and by understanding what our true needs are and going more direct for them, going direct for the capital, raising capital, earning capital, building wealth so that you have more resilience. These are all ways that we can become stronger in our communities, and not letting them divide us. It's okay to have differing opinions. Of course, in this day and age, we all have differing opinions, and no one's going to agree on everything. But we shouldn't just shut people out. We should listen to their opinions and their ideas. That's how we grow and evolve as people, is we have these mature conversations, and we elaborate, and we listen, and we adapt, and we learn a lot from each other. We learn a lot from opposing views. So to just shut it off and say somebody's completely wrong isn't the solution either. I think it's important that we listen to one another, and we come together as people. We don't put our reliance into the government. Everyone's just relying on the government and say, oh, they're just going to give us, they're going to support us, they're going to look after us. Everyone's moving towards socialism and communism, and we're giving all our power away to the government and relying on them, thinking they're going to look after us. And I think a lot of you are going to realize in the long term that the governments aren't there for us. When things get tough, they're looking after their own family. That's all they care about, is their rich families and their kids and their children and their grandparents. And they don't really care about us, you and I. I'm sorry, but it's just the way it is. They're just giving us little handouts now to keep us from rising up and keep people from really learning these skills and becoming resilient in our own community. So I think it's important that we meet our neighbors, we meet our community, we get involved, we go to the town meetings, and we go more direct. We learn about the people that are in our communities, and we start talking amongst ourselves, because when it comes down to it, that's how we're going to look after one another, is by knowing our neighbors and embracing our differences and learning to accept that and come together. And hopefully we can learn to get past all of the stuff in the past with the different race wars and the hardship and the stuff that's happened. Terrible things have happened between different races and cultures. But that's not how we move past this. I think it's by learning that life is harsh and everyone's trying to survive, and look at nature. That's always what I like to do, is look at nature. You look at the wolves that are eating all of the deer, and that life is brutal. Everyone's trying to survive. So we have to, I think, let go of this judgment between races and try and move past all these atrocities and not focus on that. By getting so wrapped up, they're bombarding us with world events. We're exposed to so much information nowadays that it's hard to thrive. When I open any social media nowadays, I'm bombarded with the riots down in the US, the bombings here, the war here, the famine there, the race war here, all the hardships of all these different cultures. Like, how am I supposed to take all of that on and thrive as an individual? There's just no way to do it. The only way is to shut that off and look into your immediate reality. And I'm sorry, but you have to look after yourself. I know many people are saying that's selfish, but that's BS. They have us fighting and being victims and disempowering us. Look at the way they're bashing the masculine and any kind of men's groups that are pushing for men's rights. Don't you think it's important that women have rights and men have rights? And now they're taking away all the rights from men, and anyone fighting for men to be able to keep some of these rights are labeled as a white supremacist, that kind of thing, where they're just they're labeling you, and then they're making you out to be some kind of radical extremist that doesn't care about anyone else. That's just not true. It's just another tactic on a way that they're using. The language they use disempowers us, and it makes people fearful to come into their own power and really embrace their inner strength. So I think we all need to embrace our own inner strength. We all have our shortfalls and we all have our inner strength. Different races have different strengths, and different, whether you're a man or a woman, you're going to have different strengths depending on where you're at and what you have and what you've been through. So I think we need to really embrace that and embrace each other's differences, not to use that as, to play victim and all that, and focus on that. I mean, we all have our hardships and we all have our advantages, but it's not something to focus on and to let it disempower us and to divide us. So that's just some of my thoughts. What do you guys think? I mean, it's pretty evident to me that they're dividing and conquering. There's a huge polarization right now, and very few people even have the space to listen to others. And it's wild. So I hope to get this message out there. I hope we can come together. We can all realize our inner strength, and we can kind of learn these skills to become more resilient and more self-reliant, and to really come together as communities and learn what's going on and start talking about what's going on and not buy into this. Turn off the media. Don't look at all this violence. Don't buy into this race war they're pushing, and they're getting us fighting amongst ourselves. The true war right now is the elite, the high level elite politicians, CEOs. All these people own everything: the media, the banks, the government, the corporations, and all that. And they're attacking the middle class and the lower class. They're trying to push us more and more into poverty and to make us just completely fragile. They're trying to take away our livelihood so that we have to rely on them, and they don't want us strong. They don't want us empowered. They don't want us having families that are tightly knit and where we feel confident and empowered in our true inner self. So those are just some of my thoughts. I don't know what you guys think. I know a lot of people these days think that this kind of stuff is just completely insane, and they think that we're mad and conspiracy theorists and we're extremists and all that, but I don't buy into it. I think it's important that we really rise up in these times and we realize what they're doing. They have think tanks where they think these things through. They're using social media to completely divide us and conquer us so that we're weak, so that when they come in to take over everything, they want complete world control of our assets, of the corporations, of the governments. They don't want us having any power. So that's why I think they're really pushing these tactics to further divide us and to take away our resilience and make us weak and divided. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you haven't, hit like on that, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next video.